So my name is David Jaques. I am an investor in GetMee. I've been involved in venture capital and startup investing for a number of years. Living here in Silicon Valley, it's kind of all around you all the time. So Bala and I first met when he was working for Blue Dot Innovation, which is a location-based services company. And I was on the board of directors, and I still am. And I also invested in Blue Dot personally. And of course, I believe very much in the mission of that company. So language learning has always been something that has fascinated me. I love learning languages myself. I speak German, I speak Dutch, I know a little bit of French and a couple of other little languages here and there. I studied languages. I learned German as a young guy when I was in high school. And I remember that when you reach a point where you can actually communicate in a foreign language and be understood and not be regarded as some dumb foreigner that just doesn't really know how to communicate, the feeling of satisfaction is so great. And I've experienced that. I think anybody that's learned a second language has experienced that. So I do believe that in the world of technology as it is today, especially in the world of AI, that there must be so many tools that are available to us, not just learning a vocabulary and conjugating verbs and doing it out of a textbook, which is largely how I did it, and through conversation. So, so that's one part that really fascinated me about the company. My interest in language, my interest in AI, my belief that this is the future, and of course, knowing Bala, the founder, and having worked with him before, really it was a no-brainer that this was a company that I'd like to be invested in and hopefully be able to participate in its success going forward. So I started out in the banking field, working for Barclays Bank in London and then New York. And then when I moved to Silicon Valley, moved to California, I worked for Silicon Valley Bank, which was a wonderful institution here. And I really wanted to experience the startup environment. This was in the 1990s, so really the beginning of the internet. And I wanted to experience what it was like to work for one of these startup companies and be able to use my banking experience. And PayPal really fell into the right place at the right time for me because it was a financial services product. And the people that were building it were wonderful engineers, but didn't really have any experience in the banking field. I had the banking experience, but I didn't have the programming experience. So by working together with the CTO, we actually were able to do a lot of positive stuff together. And so I landed as the first CFO of the company long before the product actually got launched, about a few months before the product launch. And it was my segue into a startup, and it was a great fit because I was able to use a lot of my intellectual and work experience to be able to benefit the company and help it grow and help it launch. I believe that AI is in its infancy. It's just at the beginning. I think that we've barely scratched the surface of the capabilities of AI. There's some things I think that AI will benefit the world incredibly. And when you look at language learning, I think there's a huge application there. So I grew up in an era where you pretty much followed a career path. You know, I started out in banking, and it was expected that I'd stay in banking for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I didn't. Banking was a wonderful start and a wonderful place to go. But by the time I started experiencing working for a startup, working for a tech company, working for venture capital firms, and seeing the whole ecosystem, it just makes you so much of a well-rounded person. If I had to go back and advise my younger self, I would tell myself to be more adventurous, to put my feet in the water more than I did. Experience as much as you can, learn as much as you can, and learn languages, because as much as AI is helping us, and there's Google Translate and all of those things which can help you understand and help you comprehend things in a much better way, there's still nothing that quite beats talking to somebody and getting a response back, seeing the body language, seeing the smile, and getting that feeling of being able to communicate and being understood. I think that's just such a great thing. Any young person should be able to do it, or at any age. You're never too old. You're never too old to do things and learn new things.